Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Carla Marion. She's a broadcast legend. She's been on radio here in Dallas-Fort Worth for 25 years. She's a good friend. You're going to hear her journey next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
I am beyond excited for this show because every single morning I listen to WBAP as I'm getting ready for my day, and Carla Marion is a big part of their morning show. She's a broadcast legend. She's my friend. Our friendship goes back some 20 plus years.
I think so.
You worked with my wife at one point.
I did. I worked with Victoria, and to think, here we all are kind of doing our things, still broadcasting marketing-ish, and it's great to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, let's start at the very, very beginning. When did you know that you wanted to get into broadcasting?
Well, that is a great question. It sort of all happened. I would say it's God's plan. Having been a believer now for some time, you look back and you say, oh, this was all part of God's plan for my life, right? Yeah. I got my start at UNT. KNTU is the radio station, student-run radio station. I was a bit of an older student. I couldn't figure out what path to take. I had already been in college a few years. And the funny story is my dad called me up one day and he said, Carly, because he was putting me through college, I'm very thankful. And he said, you're killing me with the bills. I need you to get a little job and help me out. I said, okay, Dad. And so I remembered being on a trip to Europe, kind of a 3-week trip with some students at another school. I was in a community college for 3 years, no degree. I mean, I was just wayward. I had no idea what I was doing. But we were all sitting around having pizza in Italy, this beautiful outdoor place. And Mr. Hammond was his name. He was a wonderful history professor at Brookhaven. And he said, you have such a nice voice. You should be on the radio. And I just kind of blew it off, never thought of anything. But when Dad said that, this was a few years later, I thought, oh, okay. And so I got the yellow page. Remember the book?
I do remember.
Everybody got the book.
Of course.
So I just looked, and I'm going through it, and I'm looking for radio. And sure enough, in Denton, I was a student there, and I had my little apartment. And it's KNTU. And so I called, just old school, picked up the phone, and I said, do you happen to have any openings? I need a little job. And they said, sure, come on up. We can put you on the air today. I was something like that. It was very fast the way it happened. And so I called Dad. I was so excited. I said, Dad, I have good news, and then I have some not so good news. But the good news is that I'm doing this thing now at the radio station, and the bad news, it does not pay.
Okay, so your first paying gig is...
It actually was KNTU because really quickly after that, I was hired on as the public affairs director. So they did have some paying positions for students. I don't know how it's set up nowadays. Yeah. So the public affairs director hosted I want to say 30-minute public affairs program. So we'd go out and get interviews, and we had the reel-to-reel. I mean, it's pretty amazing to have to do all that. I got a pager, and I had an office and a key. It's very legitimate. And I got a little paycheck. Now, again, nothing to be very excited about, but it was something. And the following, this was my junior year, and then my senior year, I became news director. So again, still bringing in that paycheck. And then that same year, I was doing traffic reports at a place that does, traffic reports that broadcast out to a bunch of different stations. And then I was also working at the USA Radio Network one weekend day. So I was going 7 days a week in addition to 15 hours of college in my last year. And then I was hired on full-time at KRLD, which was for me almost like a dream come true because I was a news junkie already because of my dad. We were thick as thieves. And he watched every newscast. And so by default, I watched every newscast since I was a tiny little girl with him. And we would get in the car and, check your watch at the electronic tone, exactly 3 o'clock. CBS News, the whole thing. I mean, it was like in my DNA, right? Yes. So when I got hired on and I walked in and I met Brad Barton and I met all these people that I'd been listening to my whole life, I was overwhelmed. I couldn't believe that I had gotten there. So I just sort of worked my way up through there. I was hired as an associate editor for the morning show, which is basically don't speak until spoken to and write 3 stories, and they'd hand you a list, and that was it. I mean, they didn't want to hear from you. And then I was offered the morning reporter position there, which at first I declined because I was scared, honest to goodness. Wow. And then my news director said, no, really, you should do it. And I did, and it was out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I went ahead and did that, and I stayed there almost 12 years, ending as morning anchor, co-anchor for the KRLD Morning News.
And I remember those days very well. Okay,
Yes.
so when was the law enforcement piece of your life?
Okay, so KRLD, there were layoffs in 2008, the recession layoffs, right? That hit locals really hard because that's the first thing to go is your local, ad revenue and stuff like that. So I was laid off. I had 2 in diapers. I had my 2 little boys, Donald and Dean, and so there was a little bit of a lag there. But the general manager of KRLD had gone to WBAP now, and so he called me up when my youngest was about 4 months old. I'm still nursing. He goes, "Look, I want to get you over here, but I don't have anything full time. Would you want to just come in, get trained, and then I have a weekend morning news slot?" I said, "Fine, I'll take it." Wow. And then it started from there, and then they put me as news anchor for the morning show. And then that went on for a little bit, but there was some burnout that was settling in.
Sure.
So in May of 2014, I stepped away. Again, the boys were real little.
Sure.
I was just having just some personal issues that were going in. You can go to my Facebook page and it's all there. I'm an open book. But it was time to get back to work full time. The boys were a little older. Things had changed in the household. And so I said, okay. So I actually didn't even send in my resume. The chief told me later, I said, just apply it online. And then they called me back for interview number 1 and then interview number 2. And I think there were 3. And then they narrowed it down out of a couple of hundred people to myself and another person. And there you go. That's how I got that. But it was an incredible experience. I mean, to be honest, it was wonderful. Those people in law enforcement don't get half the credit they should get for the job they do and the kind of people they are at the end of the day.
Well, I probably gave you a different perspective on the media because now suddenly in a public information slot, you're, reporters are asking you questions or they're digging into something that they probably don't need to dig into. I mean, what did law enforcement provide for you in terms of your own growth?
Well, I loved to, because as a journalist, I love to ask questions. I love learning things and going down rabbit holes, right? I mean, it's kind of what we do. And so to be there and to be able to learn about every unit that's there, forensics, even, whatever it might be, the canine, the mounted unit, the motor unit, and really getting to know those people. Talk about your shifts. What are your responsibilities? People who have more desk jobs in law enforcement, which, I didn't really know that could be a thing, but you're recruiting or you're traveling or you're going to get, criminals and another's, whatever it is. So for me, it was just getting in, getting my feet wet and trying to learn as many different aspects and many different angles of law enforcement as I could. And then getting the backside of being the person that the reporters come to was very interesting because, and in that line of work, you can't just say anything you want to say. Right. You are reported to the chief in many instances, and so you have to be careful about you don't want to impede an investigation by giving away things that don't need to be talked about while something is ongoing or breaking. It was exciting when it was exciting. There were plenty of times when not a whole lot was going on, which gave me time to be creative and put out social media posts about our department and let people get to know. I came up with a feature where we got to introduce an officer per month to the community behind the badge, right? Yeah. And sharing pictures, if they so chose, of their family and their hobbies, just to sort of humanize the badge, because at the end of the day, they are people. Yeah.
Well, I've heard you countless times in the morning on WBAP offering some insights from your law enforcement experience. So I think that really served you well.
It has. Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and put up a graphic. This is her morning show.
Oh, right, with the yellow hair. Okay, I'm so sorry. It was a phase. It was a weird phase.
This is truly a dream team, and for the people who don't listen to WBAP, and you do need to listen to them, this is such an iconic station. Oh, yeah. 100 years old.
It is. It is. I mean, you talk about pinch me, right? Every time I go to work. Now, Brad Barton, Ernie Brown, and I, and to a certain extent, Monty, we all go way back. I went to college with Monty, worked at the radio station at UNT together, and then Brad and Ernie and I worked together at KRLD. So we had that sort of history together. But Hal J is a living legend. So that was overwhelming almost to say, I'm going to share this room with this legend. I mean, it was a little intimidating going into that, but he is so, I mean, just like he is on the air, that's how he is off the air. He is so welcoming and warm and hilarious, and it's just been an easy transition.
When I listen, it's like listening to friends, because there's always somebody who's going to say something crazy that makes the bit, if you will, work. You know, Monty's really good with those quips.
Oh my goodness, Monty is a nut. He is so funny. And we jab each other, you know, when we can, obviously, when there's not serious, obviously, things going on. And it's respectful and it's funny, but also because we have that kind of history to where no one's really taking offense at anything. We're just there to have fun so that it relays to the listener.
Well, as you look at your broadcast career, were you there for 9/11? Was that?
I was at the other place.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, yes, I was there.
What was that day like for you?
Oh, that was a hard day. That was a hard day. I'd gotten a call. My dad called me, my late dad, I should say, that morning. He said, "Carly, turn on the TV." I turned it on. I saw the first building burning, and we'd gone to New York City many times. We even had eaten at the Windows on the World. I mean, so I just thought, Dad, what's going on? And right then, the second plane hit. He said, "Carly, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. We're being attacked. You need to get to work." That's what he said. And it was a few hours before my shift started. I threw on a ball cap radio, and I just zoomed. And on my way, the Pentagon got hit. We were all gathered in the newsroom. I mean, everyone was literally pretty frozen. Our anchors were doing their thing. And literally, we watched as the towers crumbled. And then it started becoming known that everything was evacuating. Every airport, every school, every shopping center, everyone go home. We stayed. Of course, you have to stay. So we stayed. We're taking calls. We're talking to officials. And I want to say we stayed until late into the evening, and no emotion. I mean, you can't, you can't process what's going on because you have a job to do. So it was more like that night that was very emotional for many of us. We did get together, a few of us afterwards. And then, being home was just, you just let it all go. Yeah.
Well, what strikes me about that day, because I remember nobody had to call me to say, come into work. I was a night side reporter, but I knew this is all hands on deck. And so I'm getting in the car and I'm driving downtown, and we don't know if the world is ending because we don't know, is Dallas next?
Right.
And I remember thinking, if this is my last day on the planet, why am I going into work? Should I not be with Victoria right now? But there's something about being a journalist that it's just part of your DNA, isn't it?
It is. It's what you do. I mean, I was not married yet, and the boys weren't around. So for me, it was just that next instinct. But that instinct never leaves you. I'm a quick story about a hailstorm at the house. The boys were pretty little. It was a bad storm. The tornado sirens start going off. And here I want to run outside and get that sound of the hail to play on the morning show. And I go, "Boys, get in the tub. I'll be right there." Terrible mommy moment to admit on the air. I hate that. It's true. It happened. They go, "No, Mommy, we want it." It's just this hectic little moment. That's really when I realized you're wired wrong at this point. But when that gets in you, that breaking news kind of thing, you have to untrain yourself and be that human first.
Well, I listen to you every morning, and so I know when they have the pet segment on Fridays, that's a big moment for you because you have 2 fur babies.
I do, Jesse and Jonah.
Okay, we're going to show a little bit of video, and I want you to narrate this.
Okay.
Because
oh, this is what I came into. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. This is what I erupted into. This is my home. That's Jonah's bed in the middle, the blue one. And obviously things on the sofa that I'm trying to keep the new dog off of, the sofa. Well, she had nibbled through and pulled the stuffing out of her brother's bed and just had a great time. I mean, she had a great time. That was before. So now I crate her when I go to work. And we're coming up on the 3-month mark from when I adopted her, which everyone says it's kind of normalizing at that point. And she's wonderful. Got her from the SPCA, just like her brother. And I cannot say enough good things about them. Oh, my goodness.
Give me an update on your boys, because they're they're not so little
I
anymore.
know it. Donald and Dean, my pride and joy. They're my reason for anything and everything, as you know, having your own. My oldest is 19. He graduated high school last year, and he's been hired on full-time as a 911 dispatcher at a local police department with the intent of going into law enforcement. Super proud of him, and he does a great job. They have 12-hour shifts.
Wow.
And he no complaints, and he works out. He has a girlfriend. I mean, it's just
Love
wonderful. Dean will be starting his senior year in high school, and I have to brag on him equally. Of course, he has this little part-time job at Target, but he is in the National Honor Society, and he'll be drum major this next school year. So he's worked very, very hard to get to that place, and I'm so proud. So proud.
All right, Carla, we have about 2 minutes left, so I want you to talk to that young person in college who's thinking about a career in broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
What advice would you give to that person?
I would say focus on where you want it to go. In other words, it can't just be, I want to be on TV or I want to be on the radio. Really narrow it down as to why. What is your passion, right? I mean, do you have a specific passion for nutrition or fitness or overall general news? Really kind of learn that, because otherwise you might just be kind of flailing around, and just get used to the shifts being weird, and you will have to work and put your dues in. Like you say, you have to pay your dues like anything else. You don't just start out at the top. And it's fun. It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work too. But I think it's still a worthy, necessary medium, especially truth tellers these days.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you,
your story with
Jeff.
me.
It's so good to see you.
We're going to end with her Facebook page so you can follow her and get in touch with her. And please tune in tomorrow morning on WBAP 820. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.